Flexing that ankle.
Oh, Lee, this late in the game, you do not want to see.
Fans are both concerned and incensed over Clark's injuries this time around, because it's not simply a bruising or bump. Her second injury of the season could keep her out of action for a while, depending on how bad it is. But what annoys supporters the most is how avoidable this whole thing was.
Stephanie White has now got questions to answer.
Because the decisions made by the officials, the opposing players, and the fever have resulted in a cumulative effect that goes beyond a single play and has been growing throughout the season. Since we have previously witnessed what occurs when Caitlin Clark is off the floor, there is now significant concern for not only her health, but also for her career and, by extension, the WNBA's overall performance. Caitlin Clark is not being safeguarded because those who should know exactly what she means to the game should not be protecting her strategically or physically. The demand for dip tickets drops. Let's discuss what transpired, the reasons for the fans' ire towards Stephanie White, and the enormous mistakes that culminated in what may have been the greatest missed chance in sports history. To start, wish Caitlin a speedy recovery by liking this video and leaving a heart in the comments area. That humble pie moment following her most recent absence is flatlined by the exhilaration. Another extra-large slice is on the horizon for the league.
Boston hands it off as Clark's back in. She goes down. And midcourt and flexing that ankle.
Oh, Lee, this late in the game, you do not want to.
Caitlin Clark is officially out for an undetermined period of time after appearing to hurt her groin during the play against the Storm. Every day, Stephanie White called her. When did you guys learn about this, Caitlin?
Caitlin, when did you guys find out about this groin injury, and how much of an absence do you expect from her beyond today?
Yeah, late last night. I think it's very much a day-to-day thing, how she responds to treatment.
Fans no longer trust Stephanie White's press conference statements. Thus, it seems like this might go either way. Since Dana wasn't technically on the team's daily agenda, she had requested to sit out.
How is she doing? Is there any timeline for her return?
Yeah, she's doing well. She's doing well. Again, no timeline. I think it's day to day, and for us to just make sure that we're continuing to be supportive of DB.
There is proof to back up the notion that, even if her injury is small, Caitlin should lose a substantial period of time. This is because the trend is getting harder to ignore, not because fans desire it. All of these ailments clearly have a link, yet nothing appears to be fully fixed.
Like, it's one of two things. It's either it's groin tightness and she'll be back for the Commissioner's Cup game. She's probably going to miss these next two games. Or it's a groin strain and she's out for the All-Star game. Like, it's one of those two, and there's no in between.
Furthermore, many people believe that Caitlin has been playing with an injury for days or weeks and has only made it worse against the Storm, rather than believing that this is just an instance of her getting wounded on a chance play. There are, to be honest, a few compelling reasons why supporters of this idea are in agreement. Caitlin hasn't just appeared aloof after that vicious game against Connecticut where she was roughed up, according to the statistics, to start. Over the past few games, she has gone 1 for 23 from deep, which is hardly a slump, but rather a warning indication.
But I think we're getting into territory now where it is not, I don't think it's a good idea to just chance it. I don't think it's a good idea to put pressure on yourself to perform when obviously these are all left leg. These are all in the same leg area. So there's definitely something going on around them.
Fans, particularly Stephanie White, are going bananas over the fever at this point because it would indicate that Caitlin was rushed back if she had been playing with an injury all along.
So if you guys did not see, in this game right here against the New York Liberty, she's doesn't have anything strapped up, and people are saying her quad was strapped up against Connecticut Sun. That is a very high strapping up for a quad.
It's true that you begin applying strain to other muscles and joints to compensate when one part of your body malfunctions, which results in other injuries.
You guys rushed her back, and within rushing her back, she re-injured that same quad, and then you rushed her back again. And then within rushing her back, she was forced to put pressure and put stress on different areas surrounding that quad. That leads us to our most recent groin injury.
This one's on the coach. This one seems to be on the coach.
Because of this, it became evident to viewers that Caitlin shouldn't have returned at all when they saw her wearing that bulky wrap around her leg. In relation to that, Let's return to the Storm game, as this is the point at which supporters are incensed. White Stephanie.
Caitlin Clark clearly not looking like herself. The Indiana Fever has the game put away, yet we still put her back in the game at 45 seconds left. Caitlin Clark dealing with an injury, not looking like herself. The game is already out of hand, yet we still put her back in with 45 seconds left. How much patience do I need to have before I can start going nuclear? Because I am getting very frustrated with what I am seeing.
You begin to question Stephanie White's judgment when you take into account that Caitlin was added back into the game with 8 seconds left, because eventually it becomes more about risk management than guts. Many fans now think their coach failed the exam and that they have a fever. Yes, perhaps Caitlin requested to re-enter. She might have been attempting to get out of her rut, but with 16 seconds left and the game already decided, the coach's role is to safeguard the player, especially this one.
Just wonder if she's playing through a little more pain than she should. I mean, look what happened to Tyrese Halliburton in the NBA Finals game when he tore his Achilles heel. He had also mentioned having some pain there, and this was like the pinnacle of his career. So he attempted to play through that, and at the very end, he went down.
Fans are starting to worry at this point since it's becoming increasingly clear that Caitlin Clark isn't receiving the proper management. She plays and supports the team because of her strong competitive spirit. She is aware that not just Indiana, but the whole WNBA is keeping an eye on her. And even though she doesn't discuss it, she is bearing the burden of everything. That's the exact issue when you have someone who endures hardship yet never wants to sit down and feels responsible for a league and a team. It might eventually be more than just a missed game or two if she continues to play injured.
There's something going on. Is it the nagging quad injury? But it's something to do with the lower half of her body. It is a groin injury. Now we've got an idea of why she's struggling from long range, where it requires, some real push on three-point shots, especially the kind that she takes. And there's nothing worse than a groin injury. It will nag the shit out of you. Trust me, I've had several.
And the reason this is all the more worrying is because just a year ago, it seemed impossible that Caitlin Clark would miss so much time. She participated in every game that was a part of her Iowa legend. But she has now missed nearly half of the season due to what seems to be a chronic issue with the same leg that is obviously impairing her play and could cause her to miss the entire season, or more if treatment is not received. We have seen it time and time again. Courtney Watkins Vanderloot Cameron Gugiu Brink. There is a long and heartbreaking history of prominent female athletes who have experienced serious knee injuries. More than just a setback, an ACL tear might damage a career and end a season. This is the most dire situation. It would be tragic for Caitlin Clark to suffer an ACL tear during garbage time during that Storm game, already playing with a leg that was clearly weak. It would also go down in WNBA history as the most tactical error ever. We're talking about a moment that could have sent the league back 10 years. In an instant, all of the momentum, new fans, and record-breaking ratings were gone. And it is an exaggeration because, in actuality, Caitlin Clark is currently the player most crucial to the league's future. Wait until you hear how terrible this is for other gamers in a few minutes if you think I'm exaggerating. To be clear, this isn't limited to fans of Fever. Because of the awful officiating, which has greatly contributed to the whole problem, analysts are now blaming the league for how things got so bad.
But the thing that you have to be careful of is if, say, you try to rush her back from this injury as well, then you're getting into this territory where a very serious injury can happen. And with women as well, we are more prone to knee injuries even than the men because of the angle that our hips go to our knees. So the last thing you want is her compensating or her groin not firing properly, and she goes to cut to the side and then all of a sudden something blows in her knee. That is what the Indiana Fever, that is what Caitlin need to avoid the best that they possibly can. So if it means that Caitlin is out for 3 weeks, if it means that she is out all the way through All-Star, then so be it. She has such a long career.
There is no denying that the Fever have been treated poorly on numerous occasions this season, and nowhere is that more apparent than with regard to Caitlin Clark. Fans had been complaining for weeks, But the game against the Sun was the tipping moment because everything that had happened before that time, not only the now famous eye poke or the body check, incensed them.
Like, they just kept shoving Caitlin. They're like, well, they can't just keep calling fouls. I'm like, they're literally just running around hacking her. The referees have made it like a point that this is how you beat the Fever. You hack them. You don't even, it's not being physical, you just hack them. Because the referees are going to allow them be hacked.
This degree of physicality seems to be ingrained in the WNBA since it impacts the entire league, not just Indiana, even though we can debate missed calls against Caitlin Clark and the Fever.
This is JC Sheldon right here with an entire handful of Caitlin Clark's shoulder and bicep, and she's twisting it. Okay? I mean, this is wild. Here's the zoomed out look, the snapshot. I mean, this league does not have control of its players.
Players suffer when coaches base their game strategies on toughness because the league won't enforce its own regulations. Furthermore, it's not only Caitlin Jade. That is more than just a coaching tactic. It acknowledges that the referees are not carrying out their duties. When I tell that Melbourne of the Mystics actually lost her teeth as a result of an unnecessary elbow sustained while writing the script, I'm not exaggerating. This serves as yet another warning that there are serious repercussions when the league disregards player safety and permits them to play. If you want to take this seriously, a lot of fans are pointing out that this has been happening for years and is now endangering the one athlete who is saving the league by herself. The off-season saw Caitlin Clark grow a significant amount of muscle. The extra weight and cockiness on the field, she had to put on weight since she was being beaten up the previous season, but it was a major plot point going into the season.
Coach told me we tell our players to be as physical as they can possibly be for 40 minutes because we know for 38 of them they're pretty much going to get away with it. So I think everybody would like to see a tighter whistle and a little bit more freedom of movement.
The message was unambiguous. Building armor is essential if you want to survive in this league, but here's the catch: rapid muscle growth, particularly in the legs and core, can alter your technique. Your walking style shift she might not have needed to convert to linebacker in order to survive a season if the league had encouraged officials to actually enforce the rules. Your lift on shots changes, and more importantly, your risk of injury increases if your movement patterns haven't fully adjusted. Perhaps we wouldn't be on the verge of another Caitlin Clark injury spiral if the league moderated the violence a little rather than using it as a selling feature.
Does make me wonder if a player like SGA can get all these fouls called, maybe the refs should call them similarly for Caitlin. Because if the players defending Clark know that they're going to get a whistle every time they hand check her or cover her physically, they will probably do it a lot less. And I get it, you're trying to neutralize this player, but you know, we've entered the realm of player safety here, and Caitlin Clark, who has now gone out for a third time, so I think that this needs to be reassessed.
To be clear, no one is disputing that Caitlin Clark need to be protected from contact. Basketball is a game that requires toughness, but there is a huge difference between playing tough defense and willfully ignoring clear fouls or allowing dirty moves to continue. The official's foul call is the first indication that supporters are expecting basic rule enforcement rather than preferential treatment. The league is then in charge of assisting with this, identifying players who transgress, suspending repeat offenders, and establishing a standard. But it also starts with something simpler. Respect for the superstar who is not only improving the game, but also meeting everyone's needs, whether they want to admit it or not. It's amazing that none of this has been addressed, because the future is going to be awful once more. The rising tide that is lifting all boats is Caitlin Clark. Additionally, players in other leagues, such as the NBA or NHL, are protected.
And it's also a huge blow to the WNBA. Whether some fans like it or not, it was proven the last time that she was out with injury that the WNBA does better when she is on the court. The WNBA ratings across the league dropped by over 50% when Caitlin Clark was out with injury, and this is obviously such a crucial time and a crucial year for the league because they go into CBA negotiations at the end of the year.
Viewership stalls, ratings fall, and social media participation suddenly ends when Caitlin Clark is not present. When she returns, the WNBA feels quiet, but it's all because of times like these that make things happen. It has reached a stage where it is no longer even debatable. Rather, it is a quantifiable trend that is also a major setback for the WNBA. The WNBA performs better when she is on the field, regardless of what some fans may think. This was demonstrated during her most recent injury absence. When Caitlin Clark was sidelined due to injury, the WNBA's overall ratings fell by more than 50%. This is a critical year for the league as they enter into CBA discussions at the end of the current campaign. When Caitlin was on the floor,